helping you with real estate, Mr. Mike Johnston.
Hey everybody, welcome to Building Blocks of Real Estate. Today we're going to be talking about assistants' do's and don'ts, some of the things that they can and cannot do. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and start off right into it. Okay, let's just change this screen here a little bit so we can see what we've got. In the purple or plum or whatever color book you want to call it from the Real Estate Commission for 2020, the Idaho Real Estate License Law and Rules, it goes through a bunch of different things. And the first part that we're going to talk about is under guideline number 10. So let's scroll back up to guideline number 10 real quick. And in guideline number 10, it talks a little bit about, I went a little too far, paying different people, unlicensed people stuff. And I want to read one thing in that first to help us start off understanding a little bit more about what people can and can't do. So right here on guideline number 10. So let's start with that. Splitting fees with unlicensed persons prohibited. Finder fees, donating to charities. The real estate license law prohibits Idaho licensees from splitting fees with unlicensed persons. This prohibition means that a licensee may not pay any part of his commission, fee, or other compensation to any individual or entity that does not have an active real estate license. The Commission routinely receives calls asking whether a licensee is permitted to pay or reward an unlicensed person for the referral of customers. Under Idaho law, the answer is no. The law specifies that paying or offering to pay a finder's fee or referral fee to an unlicensed person is considered fee splitting and is prohibited. Moreover, any person who engages in procuring of prospects, ISAs, we have to be careful, is required to hold an active real estate license. An unlicensed person who engages in this activity is in violation of the law's licensing requirement. So this is one of the key things that we talk about, that we're really wanting to have all the ISAs have a license, because if they're talking and procuring things, they're in violation of the law. So that's why we have that requirement in our office. Continuing. If there is an intent by the licensee to compensate the unlicensed person for referring customers, or the unlicensed person expects to be compensated for referring customers, either buyers or sellers, then one or both parties may be in violation of the license law. The license for fee splitting and the unlicensed person for unlicensed practice. So please keep that in mind when you're talking to other people, or someone says, oh, will you send me a fee, or can I be compensated for doing something? Well, if you're not licensed, I can't send some type of a referral or something to you. Okay, now we're moving on to the main part of what we wanted to talk about. It's going to be under guideline number 17. So I'm scrolling down through here. We're on guideline 16 there. And here comes guideline 17. Now this was just updated last year by the Idaho Real Estate Commission. So previously in the other books, they had an understanding from 2002. So this one has been updated. Use of unlicensed assistants and office staff. The Commission often receives questions from brokers and salespersons on the use of unlicensed personal assistants, secretaries, office staff, and transaction coordinators. Personal assistants are generally thought of as an unlicensed person performing various functions as employees, including clerical support, or independent contractors of a real estate broker within the framework of a real estate transaction. Inquiries generally fit into two categories. One, whether the activity performed is one which requires a license, and two, what are the supervisory responsibilities of an employing broker? Now, the license law prohibits unlicensed persons from negotiating, listing, or selling real property. Unlicensed personal assistants may complete forms prepared and as directed by licensees, but should never independently draft legal documents such as listing and sales contracts, nor should they offer opinions, advice, or interpretations. In addition, they should not distribute information on listed properties. Well, with that being said, I'm sure there's a lot of questions people have. Hey, well, I'm doing certain things. Well, if you are employed and you're asked to do a market analysis, you can assist to do something along those lines as instructed by a licensee. However, you cannot interpret that or share that information with an unlicensed person. You're doing some clerical work, computer work. You're okay doing that type of thing. But if somebody calls up and says, oh, I want to know what that CMA said and stuff, well, you're interpreting it. You cannot share that information. You cannot go that far. You can do clerical things for licensees. Okay? Going through here, it talks about, here's some of the things that you can do. Number one, perform clerical duties for an employing broker or salesperson, which may include the gathering of information for a listing. That's number one. Number two, you can provide access to a property to contractors, home inspectors, and appraisers, but you may not provide access to a buyer. Number three, distribute prepared information at an open house, so long as no negotiating, offering, selling, or contracting occurs. So an unlicensed person could be at an open house. However, I don't recommend it. Why? Because people are going to want to start asking questions. Oh, what other properties do you have? And then you start talking about other things and helping them with real estate related matters. So that's why a licensee would be the best person to host an open house. But if for some reason somebody else happened to be there, they cannot do certain things. They're limited on what they can do. Number four, they can answer simple questions on their own brokerage's listed properties with information from MLS printouts, property flyers, data sheets, and marketing materials prepared by the brokerage and or the employing licensee. So I could have a flyer or some information, so if someone were to call in and say, what's the price of 123 North Main Street? You could answer the price, you could answer a few other questions. But if they start wanting to negotiate, oh, well, they take less. Well, yeah, they could, or this or that. You can't. So you're very limited. That's why we try to get our staff at our office, the main Keller Williams office, to have a license as well. So in case somebody asked a question and they stepped over the line inadvertently, they're still protected and we don't have a problem. So that's why it's very important whoever answers the phone or is asked certain questions that they have a license. Okay. Number five, deliver paperwork to other licensees. So I have some papers, I need to take them somewhere else. Well, we use email most of the time, but we don't have to worry about that. But it says to other licensees. Deliver paperwork to sellers or purchasers if such paperwork has already been reviewed by a licensee and no offering of opinions, giving advice, or interpretations of such documents is given. So an unlicensed person can take it for somebody's signature. However, if they ask, well, what do I need to do? Or what about this or that? You can't answer those questions. So you're limited. You could, however, have them talk to them on the phone and you could just be there and have them sign. Number seven, insist in the preparation of market analysis for sellers or buyers under the direction and approval of the licensee. So if Fred says, go ahead and do a market analysis on this property, then you can do that and get that back to Fred. Or you just say, oh, I know Fred wants to do this. Well, you're not supposed to until you're instructed or asked to do so. But it could be part of your job description saying, if I give you this property address, then I want you to do this. So as long as you have instructions. Here, there's a few other things they talk about, the designator and some supervisory needs and things like that needs to be done. So it's important that we have that as well to be placed. So with that said, it makes people wonder, well, I know of people that are doing things that are breaking that rule. Well, that's why I'm doing this class. It's because we do have a lot of people, and there are ISAs out there within our company and other companies that think that they are not crossing the line, but they are. And all it takes is for somebody to turn them in and they could be charged $5,000 and up to a year in jail. So they'd have free internet for a full year inside the jail. So there's some perks with that part, but I personally would not like to do that, especially with COVID going on. You know, you probably get it. So I'm going to ask a couple questions, and I just want you to think of the answer. And these are coming from the Core 2019 class put out by the Real Estate Commission. So these are the actual questions and things that they taught in the class, not something that I put together. First off, can I pay my transaction coordinator on a per transaction basis? Well, according to guideline number 17, it says, a transaction coordinator may be paid on a per transaction basis as part of a regulated real estate transaction. Next question, can I pay my unlicensed assistant on a per transaction basis? Guideline 17 says, quote, licensees should not directly share commissions with unlicensed assistants. Although this may not technically be a violation of the license law, if the activity is not one which requires a license, the temptation to, quote, cross over, end quote, into the area of negotiating and other prohibited practices is greatly increased where compensation is based on the success of the transaction, end quote. So that's a very cautious area. Then I have about 10 questions here, and it's a yes or no. So just think yes or no, yes, no, and let's see how we do. First off, may an unlicensed assistant perform this task? Number one, may they negotiate real property? No. Can they list real property? No. Can they sell real property? No. Can they complete forms prepared by a licensee? Yes. Can they independently draft sales contracts? No. Can they offer opinions? No. Can they offer advice? No. Can they interpret a transaction document? No. Can they distribute information on a property prepared by the employing licensee? Yes. Can they gather information for a listing? Yes. Can they provide access to a property for a contractor? Yes. Now I'm going to stop for a second. Now, with the key boxes and lock boxes, we can't have a person that's not a member of the association or that has signed up access the lock boxes, so you cannot share your key. You might be thinking, well, what if I just need them to go take one off really quick? I'll just let them borrow my key. That's a fine. You'll be fined by the MLS office. What can you do? Well, if you have the lock box all ready to go, it's opened up, so when you get there, the seller gives you the key and you can put it in, then close it, and the latch off the top, the shackle, so you can put it on when you're there. That right there would be acceptable, but you're not using a keypad or other thing to access it. Continuing on. Okay. Provide access property. Gather information for a listing, we said yes. Provide access to a property for a contractor, we said yes. Provide access to a property for a buyer. No. Distribute information at an open house. Yes. Answer consumer questions about price or number of bedrooms on a brokerage listing. That one you can do if they're calling in about your property that you have listed or your company's property. Deliver paperwork to the buyer or seller. Yes, you can deliver, not interpret or coach or teach, tell them something how to do it. Explain a transaction document and or options to a consumer. No. Assist in the preparation of a market analysis. Yes, if you're instructed to do so. So that basically covers some of the things that a licensee, well, a licensee can do everything, but an unlicensed person can and can't do. Do we have any questions or anything that somebody would like to ask, if it's permissible or not? I can see the wheels are turning in some of your minds. Okay. If there are any questions, you can always instant message me, call me, whatever, and ask some specific questions. And I will have this video up shortly so people can watch it, because I'm sure we all know somebody that may be doing something not quite right. And if they have questions, have them talk to me. I'd be happy to answer them. They can also contact the Real Estate Commission if they have questions about it. But that's why our office requires ISAs, and we want the TCs and other people as well to get a license. Now, what do we do to help that to control the costs? Once they have their licenses and they're not showing properties, they don't need to become a member of the Realtor organization. We have a separate company that we have that keeps licensees in it. It's our referral company, so to speak. So we would have the licensees be there if they're not doing anything to access the MLS and not doing things that they would need to be a full-fledged Realtor member. So if they're answering some questions, staff doing that type of stuff, a transaction coordinator, an ISA, they're saving all the other fees. They don't have a monthly fee with the office. They don't have to pay the $600 and something a year to be a Realtor member or the monthly things for the MLS. There's no charge for them because they're not earning any income from the license side. The only things that they'd have to worry about would be, one, they pay for their errors and omissions insurance, and that's an annual basis. The second thing is they keep up their continuing education that's required to have a license with the Real Estate Commission. And then on every 2 years, they pay that $160 license renewal fee. So that's the only things that they're doing there. So they don't have all those other expenses. Okay? Well, I hope everybody has a great day. And if you like this and you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel before, please do so. I'm trying to get up to 100 subscribers. Thanks.